What is up, guys? We are doing a market recap. Today was a very successful day trading. No trades overall. Had a very floating bias going into the morning. Was very interested in see where price was gonna go, and you kind of had to wait. You kind of had to wait to see it. So I mean, obviously, we're still very bullish going into the day because let me turn my music down because of just the daily S&Ts buying us up and things of that nature. And you see we have clear buying pressure. You hit that 2.5 level, you expect some rejection, and if price is going to come back anywhere, you'd expect it to be here. And you might ask, why do you want price to come there? Why? Well, the reason is because you hit that 2.5 and you want price to deliver back to equilibrium of that displacement range that price came up into. So we're expecting price to go down there, and I really had a floating bias. I didn't know what we were going to do going into the day. I didn't know if we were going to go higher or we were going to go lower, and we ended up going lower, which was fine. And when you're able to observe on another level, like you're really able to set bias aside and really just observe as your main priority, and then come in with bias. I think it's very beneficial and it's so helpful in many ways. So I mean, looking at this chart before we'll go back to 9:30 so I can really go through. So looking at this chart here, you're definitely more bullish than bearish. I mean, you don't necessarily have an SMT. You do have a rebalance though into equilibrium right here, and you're starting to get buying pressure up, which is good. You know, that's giving me more bullish bias. You don't really have any clean displacement through a high. I mean, you do eventually disrespect this 15-minute bearish fair value gap, but nothing crazy. And I think, let's see if ES went all the way up. So I mean, ES completed the model that we were expecting on ES. We were expecting the same thing on ES. You know, you had your equilibrium marked out. Price came into it. You got good displacement up. Came down. I guess there probably was something here. I didn't realize it. We'll get this off actually. But I mean, looking back on it, these are the highs you were expecting to get hit, and ES does end up hitting those while Nasdaq doesn't hit this high. It's the same high. ES does end up coming up and buying enough to get there. Sorry, I'm botting out right now. Here we go. So as you can see, where are we at? Right here. As you can see, you know, you're expecting price to ES goes up, takes those highs, and forms a very large SMT. And once that SMT is formed, you don't know how price is going to react. So it is a higher time SMT. I think it was an hourly overall. Yeah, it's an hourly SMT overall, and you're kind of just watching. And now where I messed up is there's a couple areas I messed up today, but I mean I'll get better. It's all part of the game. But is right here. So this trade would have been better on ES. So you're targeting these lows and these lows all the way down here. These are your draw. And Nasdaq previously came all the way down there and created equal lows at those lows. Right there. Relatively equal lows. And then it buys up and has a big SMT. And now looking back on this, you should really just think about it as, well, there's a big SMT. Price is definitely going to go lower, but I wanted to see more. Sometimes I think I get into a problem of wanting to see too much necessarily when I'm looking to take a trade. And now, somewhat, I mean, it's definitely a good problem. You would want to see more than see less. But what made me very cautious of going short here was this big 15-minute imbalance we created. Now, obviously, looking back on it, it's not necessarily a valid imbalance because, yeah, you ran through here, but you didn't run through a recent swing high to necessarily like make this a market structure shift. So looking at this with this SMT and with this market structure or with this failed market structure shift, you're expecting price to not respect that 15-minute, and that's something I definitely need to get better in, is understanding where price doesn't have a necessarily a reason to respect. You get your clean double SMT, which is something I really look forward for. So I mean, overall, this trade's turning out very good looking back on it, and NQ or ES runs straight through that 15-minute imbalance, which should probably give you more conviction. I just lacked a little conviction today. The perfect trade is right here. You know, you get your clean displacement, market structure shift. This right here, you have your double SMT. You know, you can target the standard deviation. You know, you can target that standard deviation or the internal. You know, it depends which one you want to target. But this is honestly very clean looking back on it, and it's just another thing. I've had this happen before, and the only reason I don't take it is because I don't like the I'm not a fan of the 15-minute imbalance right there. But looking at it setup wise, I think this is very clean. I just needed more to really make my draw on liquidity valid. And I mean, you even have soup here too, like it's 2-minute fair value gap. So I think that's definitely the best entry looking back on it and going through and analyzing. The best entry would have been, you know, this right here. And you could have had your stops wherever you want, you know, above. I liked above that 7-9, but I think that was another SMT right there. Yeah. So like when that SMT is formed, I think you don't even need to have your stops that tight. I think you can have them more above that, because once that SMT is formed and you get clear rejection, now your fill is probably not all the way up there necessarily. Your fill is probably somewhere in here. So it could be something like that, and you could, you know, just have your stops above that high. And you could target these lows as your first take profit, as like the low hanging fruit essentially, and then, you know, have runners to the standard deviation level or whatever. I think this is definitely probably the best definitely the best possible trade looking back on it now. It's definitely the cleanest. I mean, the only problem is the 15-minute fair value gap is what I just didn't like. I just don't like having that big of a displacement move right there. And now I guess this is exactly what happened the other day. So like being in the market every day, you're able to see these things. We had a 15-minute fair value gap, but when when you get that 5-minute market structure shift, it almost outweighs the fair value gap. Because if you're getting a 5-minute market structure shift, you know that fair value gap is going to get ran through. So once you get that market structure shift on the 5-minute, you're really just looking for this. And I mean, it's not pretty clean. I mean, it's a tap right into the breaker. Tap right into the breaker, right into the fair value gap. It doesn't get much more cleaner than this. It's just a missed trade, and like, I mean, that happens. I'm not saying I'm a pro trader, you know, like I'm gonna be. I eventually will be showing up every day and making videos and getting better overall. But I think this right here was definitely the trade. You know, you wick that, and you'd wait for some sell off, and then you'd sell. You know, your stops are above the high, and you're targeting that standard deviation level, and then you sell off straight to it like that. So I definitely think this is the best trade overall. Overall, I mean, that rebalance is expected just because of the standard deviation, the law of standard deviation. You're expecting to come down to this low right here and probably reject off there and see structure. But let's check tomorrow's news. All at 8:30. So tomorrow should be good. We should get some good volume. Maybe for Friday, we'll be careful, obviously, because it's Friday. But overall, I'm very happy with today. I'm very happy being in the market. You can never be mad at a no trade day. That's one thing I've learned. Like when you have no trades, in the end, it's not a big deal to be mad at that, because like it's capital preservation. You know, you're only taking what you think is very good, and if you're only taking what you think is very good, you're building conviction within yourself, you're building trust within yourself, and I think it's very valuable. And yeah, we talked about it in the cord today. If you guys want to join the Discord, feel free. It is free. It'll be linked to be in the description. If you enjoyed this video, it'd mean the world to me if you would like and subscribe. I love the support. You know, keep checking out these videos, these trade recaps, market recaps, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, overall, that is all I have for you guys. Have a great Thursday. Thank you.